Okay, guys. So today we'll be going over understanding the Doppler a lot more better and how you can read it. Okay. So in this tutorial, we won't be discussing the ForeCaster. This will be purely over the Doppler. Okay. So as far as the overall strategy with the ForeCaster Pro, yes, you can use them both. Okay. That would only give you more icing on the cake. But as far as for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll just be explaining price action in the market and how it relates to the Doppler. Okay. So what this will help you do is perfect your entries, help you get a lot more prime entries in the market, right? Okay. So as far as the levels on the Doppler, the kill zone on the top and the bottom, both of those are going to be the levels of extreme exhaustion in the market. So for the Doppler, we use this to identify exhaustion in the market, right? So at these exhausted points in the market, you would notice the market would make a reversal, okay? So the kill zones are the most extreme point of exhaustion, right? The smart buy here and the smart sell, these are going to be the key areas that you're going to see most of your trade opportunities, okay? So what I like to do is highlight these areas, okay? When we highlight them based off of price action. So what we can see here, okay, on the Doppler is price action. Pretty much all of the sales, okay, and we're talking about the more important sales, like the bigger sales, right? All of those have came pretty much at our smart sell zone as well. So what we do is we grab price action here, right, in this area. So I would highlight a zone like this, okay? So all of the pretty much we can see just looking from here. And this is data all the way back to we can say August 23rd, right? We're on the 1 hour. So we can go further back if we go to a higher time frame, right? But as far as for the purpose of this video, about a month worth of data, right? So we would highlight the lower end as well. So we're looking at this here and we're looking at price action. The lowest that price actions came is the kill zone about 4 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But the average buys we're seeing here, they're pretty much happening at our smart buy zone, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say 8, 9, 10, right? So we pretty much have more here at our smart buy than our actual kill zone. So what this is telling me is that for the last month, pretty much most of our buys have came around this zone, right? Now, again, the best opportunities are going to come at the kill zones, right? That's going to be the point where you notice the market's going to show you that extreme exhaustion. So when we are looking at the Doppler like this, notice that when the opportunity presents itself, it will give you that potential move. It's up to you to find out how long that move is actually going to last. Okay, so when the move happens, it will give you that small drawdown to where you're able to move your stop loss to entry very soon versus in other examples as far as in the market, right? So looking here, as far as the buys, right? So we'll highlight these going through. I normally mark my charts up on TradingView, so I'm not really familiar with how to add this tool because we're going to use that a lot. I guess I'll just have to keep coming back, right? So for this buy here, I'll actually just use this here, right? So for this buy here, right, we're looking here. If we go up to the market, we'll see here that it actually gave us a buy opportunity, right? And if you actually entered in this trade, you would have caught that wick here, right? And you would have been able to write it up. Okay, so this move itself, okay, was about, let's say 35 pips, okay? So you'll see the moves that it'll present you. So just to kind of finish explaining the rest of the levels before we finish diving in, the end trend level is where you're going to start to see the market slow up and consolidate. Okay, so when you're trading this, typically if you're entering either at the smart sell or the smart buy, in your head you want to think as far as on the analysis, you're going to take it from top to bottom, right? So when the actual trend is going to start to slow down, so if we're buying it here, you'll notice that the trend will start to consolidate once it gets to the end trend level. Now, when you're in the actual trade, as far as like the buy, This doesn't mean that you have to exit. Me personally, I exit the trade uh, at near the end trend level, or if I think it's going to go a lot more, I just move my stop loss a lot more in profit, right? But if I think it's going to reverse soon, I usually just exit around the end trend level. That's me personally. But know that the actual move for the reversal is not going to come until it actually gets into that smart sell. So when you're trading this, we're buying it up, right? As far as on price, right? So we're buying it. Here I know in my head, okay, so we might start to see the trend slow down and we could potentially see a reversal soon, right? And so that's what will happen, right? And so once price actually gets up here is when it reverses. So just to kind of explain that here. So if we're buying it up, right? So if we bought it here, we would have got in right here, right? The drawdown on this would have been about 6 pips, right? And then the total we can see here is about 100 and something pips, right? So the buy from down here, you guys will see as it buys up, once we get to that area, look how you'll start to see price consolidate. Again, like I said, this doesn't mean that the trade's over. This just means that price is going to start consolidating, right? And so once it actually gets to the smart sell, that's when you actually need to start making a decision on if you really want to actually close this trade out, because that's when it can actually do that more so longer term reversal, right? As you guys can see at that top, if you would have sold it here, remember how we're trading this, we're taking it from top to bottom, right? And then we just bring up that caution in our head once we get to the start or end trend level, right? So if we're selling it down here, right? Once we're selling it down, price gets to this level, right? So this is that where you start to see that consolidation, right? So as you can see, price starts to consolidate a little bit, right? But it doesn't reach that full smart buy level, so it pulls back, right? And so it comes back into the end trend level, right? And so that's where we are here. You'll see consolidation, right? And so we drop back down. And so again, when it comes to fully exiting that trade, it's not really until you get to the smart buy level, right? So that would have been around here. So if you would have sold it here, you would have been able to catch somewhere around 50 pips, right? So still a good opportunity as well when you're thinking about what it's going to present you, right? So we're looking at all these opportunities. The drawdown is not really that much. In this case, around 11 pips, and you could have grabbed around 50 pips. So that's a nice 5 to 1. Again, when you're thinking of this Doppler, using it this way to add it onto your analysis, it's about an 80% chance of coming out really nicely, right? Sorry about that, guys. So it's about an 80% chance of coming out really nicely, right? Again, it's not 100%, so it is going to be times to where it's not going to be as clear as you want it. But if you're taking it uh, into consideration as far as like with your analysis, then you should come out pretty nicely, right? So again, we're just going through this whole list so I can show you guys what this actually would do when you're looking at it like this, the price action itself. Okay, so we haven't added any analysis to this. We're just using the Doppler with basic price action, right? So now that we're down here, we're looking for potential buys, right? So we can see here if we did draw some things on here, a potential trend line here. And also towards the end of this uh, tutorial today, guys, I'll also go over some charts with you guys on my trading view as well. This would be after the recording, but I'll show you guys what I'm looking at potentially for next week as well. And I'll show you guys how that relates on the Doppler when we're looking for actual analysis, right? Again, this is on TradingView, so this would be separate from the actual ForeCaster, okay? Okay, so we could actually see some kind of trend line structure here in the market, potentially something that could help us out when we're looking for buys, right? So again, it doesn't take um, brain science, like rocket science, to be able to trade it this way effectively. You can get some nice opportunities just by having trend lines, right, and looking for those points of exhaustion. So here, something that would have helped you in those areas. So you know how I was saying it's not perfect all the time, guys. So this is that 20%. So here, looking for potential buys here, it would have not been a good area, right? To buy here as well. But if you would have did something so simple as to marking it up with the trend line structure, then you would have known to actually look for the buy opportunity once price potentially got to the lower end of the trend line, right? And we can see that area would have been somewhere around here, right? So things like that will help you be able to prevent from getting into bad trades just by adding simple analysis on it, guys. So going further on, this next area here didn't fully reach the top area, but came about 50%. So in these cases, if you are feeling comfortable in the trade, what you can do is go to a lower time frame, right? So this works on any time frame. And you can go to a lower time frame to see if you see the opportunity. Okay, so here was that trade here, right? So looking here on the lower time frame on a 30-minute time frame, still didn't get quite all the way up there. So maybe we can try for a 15-minute to see what we get, right? So on the 15-minute, you can see we got a little bit closer to the smart sell zone. So this does work on every time frame. Just know that when you are trading it, when you are trading this, as far as with the analysis, can you guys hear me? Someone asked a question, is there sound at the moment? Can everyone hear me? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, great. So when you're trading this on different time frames, keep in mind that when you take the time frame to a different time, right? You want to take this as far as what the time frame is going to give you. So, for example, if we're on the 1 hour and we're buying from bottom to top, right? Know that when you fluctuate to a different time frame, that bottom to top is going to happen different, right? So, going over here, it could reach this top area a lot different as far as only 15 minutes. So, if you're taking the trade with the 15-minute exhaustion confirmation. So this is kind of an extra confirmation, right? So when you're taking this on the 15-minute, you need to take it fully with the 15 minutes. So as in the buy here, and then once it gets to the end trend level on the 15-minute, that's when you're going to see the exhaustion, right? The consolidation, I'm sorry. And then once you get to the actual smart sell, that's when you'll look to see the actual opportunity. So take it for the actual time frame that you find the potential opportunity on, right? Because when you fluctuate on a different time frame, the extension of how far you can take the potential trade, it's going to change. So hopping back to the 1 hour, going back through the rest of the opportunities, right? So down here, potential buys in this area. So the kill zone, we were able to achieve it here. So you would have bought it here, potentially around 10 pips drawdown. And if you would have took it to, let's say here, that end trend, which we would have saw a potential consolidation, right? And that would have been this area here. So around 40 pips, right? So let's see, 15 pips. It was like 15 pips drawdown, 40 pips potential take profit. And this is just if you're taking a short term again, guys. Know that the actual reversal is not going to come to the smart sell. So if you'd like to trade, by all means, hold it till you get to the smart sell. Then that's when you know you actually need to make the full decision on if you want to exit that trade or not, right? So if you would have held it to the full length, which would have been over here somewhere, right? So let's see. The first one would have been here. So it would have been pretty much that same area. Would have gave you that same opportunity for about that 50 pip range, right? And then that second top would have actually been the fall, right? For the longer pips. So here, buy opportunity around here. So if we're looking at this here, so around the support area, right? Drawdown on this one would have been about 40 pips, depending on how long you could have took the trade. Going all the way up here to the top side here. Then we're looking at around 120 pips, right? So about 40 pips drawn down for 120 pips. So still good opportunity as well. And so we can look for the 4 hour opportunities. That higher time frame, guys, is going to be a lot more accurate for the trades. Me personally, I take these on the 1 hour and 4 hour. And sometimes I drop down to the 15-minute to try to grab an even better entry. But overall, when I drop down to a lower time frame, so let's say like this 4 hour, right? If I'm looking here and I'm trying to catch like the prime entry, I might drop down to the 15-minute and look for maybe a double top or a double bottom um, with the actual Doppler, right? So in this case, it would be a double top, and I would look to actually sell on that second M, right? So you see here how we go up, we come down, then we come back up a little bit. So that's actually where I would look to really want to take that trade opportunity is on that second leg. That's when I'll go down on the lower time frame. But the initial analysis mainly comes from the 1 hour or the 4 hour, right? On the 4 hour time frame, we can go back. Let's actually look at a different chart as well. So we'll go to IDSD on the 4 hour. So we'll go here and we'll move left, right? So I pretty much have this one marked up as far as from what we can see. So on the 4 hour, this is going to give us data all the way back to June 13th, right? So we know in our heads that since June 13th, pretty much price, its maximum level range has been our smart buy zone, right? So all of our buying opportunities, the best ones we know are going to come in this area, right? So if you would have bought it in this area here, potentially you could have grabbed about 100 pips, right? And then the sell here, you could have grabbed potentially about 120 pips, right? Yeah. Me as a trader, I like sells more than I like buys. That's just me personally. Here you could have bought it back up. If you would have held it long, then you would have been able to grab the full 150 pips. If you would have sold it down here, you could have grabbed about 130 pips, right? If you would have bought it up here, you can see here we started to get, we didn't really reach that top till we got all the way over here, right? So again, this is going to be those times to where you have to make this decision a little bit earlier than the actual top, but you do see that we actually reach the end trend level, right? So it just depends on what you want out of the trade. But guys, remember that the opportunity that it'll give you as far as for the entry, most of them will be really, really nice entries, especially if you're using it with your analysis. So you're able to move your stop loss a lot sooner than other times. So if I'm buying it here, right? Even if it goes all the way up here, this is 80 pips. So if you don't move your stop loss to entry or in profit when you see something with 80 pips, then you're probably just being greedy as a trader in the whole, right? Anytime you see 80 pips, you should definitely already have your stop loss pretty much in profit somewhere or looking to already hit a take profit 1 or 2 or something, right? Because 80 pips is a lot of pips, right? It's a nice amount of pips. So in this case, you would have been able to move your stop loss to entry very soon before it would have went bad or anything like that, right? So looking at the next sell opportunity, which would have been here, got that nice move to the downside, right? So one heads up that I can let you guys know is anytime you have a movement in the market, as far as for a reversal, you want to look for also a reversal pattern, okay? So not just using the Doppler, but using price action with the reversal patterns will also give you an advantage. So what I mean by a reversal pattern is a double top, a double bottom. Other reversal patterns can be potentially head and shoulders or inverted head and shoulders. You also have uh, like falling wedges or rising wedges. Just depends on the type of reversal pattern, but you want to look for a reversal pattern, not a continuation pattern. Like a flag pattern, that's a continuation pattern. So you want to look for a reversal pattern also in these areas. That would be something nice to see. Like a double top would really let you know when to get the prime entry. So in this case, let's kind of go back to look at all these trades. You'll see here double bottom, right? At the top side on its lower time frame, guys, this would have been a double top. Look, you can look here, this is a double bottom, right? At this top side, we have a double top right here, right? This buy here, double bottom. You see what's going on here pretty much. So here, at this sell here, double top, right? So waiting for that second leg can give you a lot of benefits, guys. This will be a double bottom. If I zoom out a little bit more, you guys can see better, right? So that double bottom there. Once we get to the top side on this one, where we have a double top, right? Over here, what do we have? A double top. It's not the prettiest, but this would be a double top, right? So again, just simplest knowledge of being able to identify. This will actually give you another advantage. And this isn't anything advanced, guys. This is trading one-on-one. This is very basic as far as double tops and double bottoms, right? So waiting for that second leg is also always good when you're looking at the Doppler, okay? We can see pretty much just going back from June 13th, we're at September 26th now. So in our heads, all of the movements that we actually just took, they made double tops or double bottoms. So that should let you know in your head, possibly that's what you want to see, right? A double top or a double bottom. So here, this buy, I'll zoom down on the lower time frame so you guys can see it, but on the bigger frame, we actually did get a double bottom, right? But on the lower time frame, it looks like there was actually a double bottom just right here as well, where the prime entry was. Okay, here. So here we can see an inner double bottom. So this was where that prime entry was. So again, you have to fluctuate through the time frames. Now, this is price action, so we're not fluctuating looking at the Doppler. We're fluctuating looking at price action for a double bottom. Okay, so it's a difference. When you're fluctuating using a Doppler, then we're looking at something different, right? But right now, we're just going to a lower time frame to spot out that double bottom to catch the prime entry move, right? So again, we're on the 4 hour, looking for those double tops, double bottoms. Has really shown very clean, very nice on that 4 hour, right, all the way over, right, till now, right. Even looking here, this is a double bottom at this buy. This is a double bottom. Again, it's up to you to find out how long you want to take the trade or how long you think it can go. On the 4 hour, if you would have bought it here, again, still presents a good opportunity. You definitely could have moved your stop loss to entry, right? With 40, 50 pips, right? So you could have moved your stop loss to entry at least. So you wouldn't have really lost any money on that trade, right? So again, going to the lower time frame, possibly we could have saw a price get to an exhausted area. So this was that double bottom. So if you went to a lower time frame, you could have saw that we reached potentially that top area on that lower time frame, right? And so again, this is just looking at it very basic. Adding trend lines or your general analysis if you are an experienced trader can give you a bonus. So here I'll check out one more chart for you guys to give you some examples on what you want to look for. Right. So again, to review the levels, guys, since everything in the market is repetition, the kill zones are going to be the levels to where you see extreme exhaustion. The smart sell level is typically where you are going to see your trade opportunities. The smart buy level is typically where you are going to see your buying opportunities, right? The end trend level and the start trend level, these are where you see price start to consolidate, okay? The 50 is the median line, right? And so this is typically when you see the market shift completely into the other trend, right? So if you are selling it here, once price crosses below the 50 line, right? That's usually when you can pretty much say, okay, this sell is going to be confirmed and I'm looking for it to actually reach the smart buy, right? So think of it as a barrier. So it's kind of a support, right? So once this support breaks, then you can kind of know that you're going to potentially reach the lower end, right? And so this is also another indication that can let you know when you can start moving your stop loss in profit and things like that. And so looking at your nice sell opportunity here, what do we have? A double top. Buy here. We didn't get necessarily a double bottom on this one here. As you guys can see, a nice buy opportunity on that lower end. Buy opportunity here, right? On the lower end. If you're looking to sell at the top, looking for that double top, maybe you could have dodged a bullet there. In this case, it wouldn't have been so great, right? Sell opportunity here. Double top, right? You could have caught a couple of pips here, about 50 pips, right? Got pretty close to that entry level. Then reverse back up pretty strongly. If you're thinking of a bigger picture, guys, this could have been a double top on a bigger picture, right? So again, it just depends on your eyesight in the market. That's something that will improve over time as you advance as a trader. Here's sell opportunity, right? Here we have a buy opportunity. Looks like not the best one, right? Didn't fully achieve that 50 break, right? So here it looks like we were only able to get maybe around 30 pips. So one thing you guys can notice is throughout this training here is we're able to grab pips majority of the time, right? It just depends on how many. But overall, we're able to grab pips pretty much, majority of the time, right? So even in this area here, we didn't fully get to the top till we got over here. But even if you would have moved your stop loss to entry, you could have saw maybe a little bit more pips than you reach right here, maybe like 10 more pips. But overall, this is 100 pips, guys. So we saw nice pips before we did get any kind of reversal or something like that, right? Even if you would have taken half, right, it's 50 pips, right? So here, that downside here, you guys can see we crossed that 50. So once we crossed that 50 line, then we were able to see further downside. So that's going to be that key indication also that's going to let you know if you're able to go further with it, right? So here, potentially 180 pips, right? The buy opportunity here, roughly 200 pips, right? If you'd have bought it here, you could have grabbed around 27 pips, right? So each time it's giving you pips, okay? Not always going to be the most, but each time it's going to give you pips. Okay? So using this on top of the ForeCaster can also give you a very good advantage in the market. Know that when you're viewing the Doppler, like we're viewing it now, it's going to show you the prime reversal exhaustion. Okay, the ForeCaster is designed to give you more so of a confirmed entry, and in order for it to do that, okay, it has to wait for the move to start happening, right? So what the Doppler is going to do is it's going to show you the move up here, okay, at the tippy top of it, right? And so what the ForeCaster would do, okay, is once the move is confirmed, right? So we can see that double top forming. So once we start to get around here, okay, this is when you'll start to see the ForeCaster confirm the move, right? And it'll start to let you know you can potentially see that downside opportunity, right? So the ForeCaster waits a little bit until the move is more so confirmed, right? And the Doppler is going to try to identify the prime entry of the move, right? So that's kind of the difference. So keep that in mind when you're using the two, okay? So we'll look for a couple of more examples here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this tutorial for today, okay, guys? So for a buy opportunity here, double bottom here, if you would have caught that second leg, could have caught the prime entry. Even if you would have traded it here around a 28 to 27 pip drawdown, right? Taking it for the full swing up there to the top side of that smart sell, potentially around 160 pips, right? So a nice 3-to-1 opportunity here. If you'd have bought this up, okay, could have made about 70 pips. Now looking on this, uh, just something we can see here. This is a corrective structure, okay? So me seeing this would let me know that potentially we could see more bears. So I wouldn't try to take this trade for too long, right? I would only take it until potentially the top side of this correction. So for a correction, you guys would know it would look something like this, or some may call it a bear's flag, right? So again, simple things like having that on there will give you that heads up to know when to potentially exit that trade. Again, this trade would have gave us more than a nice amount of pips, right? 60 pips, so definitely would have had stop loss at the entry or in their profit, right? And again, that lower time frame can also identify when you could potentially see the maximum of exhaustion. Just looking on that 1 hour food went to the lower time frame, potentially the Doppler could have been at the smart sell, which would have let you know that this trade is potentially exhausted, right? And then from there, maybe you could have looked for a sell opportunity on the lower time frame, right? With the actual bearish structure, right? And so we'll look at the daily as well, right? Now, for the higher the time frame you go, okay, know that the opportunity won't be as frequent, okay? And that's with anything in the market, right? The lower time frame, of course, you're going to see a lot more trade opportunities versus the higher time frame, right? So for the higher time frame, uh, the sell opportunity, if you'd have waited for the second leg here, right, then you could have caught the prime entry, right, for the drop here, depending on how far you would have wanted to take it, right? Once we would have got to that, towards that start trend area, which is here, you guys would have noticed that we would have made about almost 300 pips, right? So potentially could have took the exit or held it, completely up to you. One thing we can see in a higher time frame, as of right now, we are forming, looks like a bigger double top, right? So maybe we would look to see further downside. And so in this move, potentially you guys could add your ForeCaster on top to see and wait for the confirmation to enter for further downside if price is going to go lower. We can also add a trend line here as well to give us a couple more areas of interest, right? So that was the sell opportunity. The buy opportunity for here came all the way to the kill zone, right? So if you bought at the kill zone, which has been, looks like here, right? You dealt with about 40 pip drawdown. If you'd have exited near the end trend level, potentially almost 600 pips, right? So that's a hell of an opportunity, guys. 50 pip drawdown, 50, 40 pip drawdown, 550 pip take profit, right? Beautiful, right? And so, again, for this, we don't just want to, add it on there, right? We want to make sure it's aligned with the actual price action, right? So, seeing here, that's how we're putting this on here. We're not just highlighting the smart buy zone or the smart sell zone. We're looking at price action to see where it's actually achieved the most, right? And so the highest that it's pretty much achieved in this area since June 27th, we can see it's pretty much been like that area, right? The smart sell, right? And for the buys, pretty much are at the smart buy. So in some cases, you are going to have to where the buys are pretty much at the kill zone. So in that case, you want to look for them at the kill zone, right? The best entries are going to be at the kill zone, guys. So always know that. But that's going to pretty much wrap up today's training for the Doppler. Hope you guys were able to learn a little bit better on how to use it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll go over them right now. But if there are no questions, I'll go ahead and end the recording.